Good afternoon. My name is Chris McClaskey. I am going to start our webinar here. A couple notes before we get started. We are going to have question and answer at the very end. And on your control panel for the webinar, there should be a section called questions. And if you guys have any questions, then you can enter your question into there, and we will go over those at the very end of our webinar. So whenever you get a question, just go ahead and pop over to that questions box, or you can save them and contact your account manager later. That would work as well. So we can go ahead and get started. Like I said, my name's Chris McClaskey. I'm a customer support account manager with Decker Insight. So a couple things for our outline. We're going to cover role levels. So what each role within the Insight VIA site that views. We're going to go over adding a new incident, the investigation of an incident. We're going to cover corrective actions, look at the open and closed incident investigations page, and some reports at the very end of this. So some benefits of accident and incident reporting, just some of the highlights that we kind of like to offer for this is prevention of future or similar losses for those incidents, contribution to the bottom line, reduction of human suffering, and a continuous improvement process. So the more that you put the incidents in, the more data you're going to get back and gather that you can follow. So some different types of incidents. Some of these you may use, some you may not. So this is kind of a good look at maybe what else you guys should maybe look at for your incidents. So just a handful: near miss, proactive incidents, property damage, audit incidents to go along with your auditing, recordable first aids. Obviously everyone knows about those. So next we're going to go over our role levels, so what everyone will see and what each role level sees. So the following screenshots are a view of each role level and kind of a little overview of what each can see. So this one here is corporate multi and corporate users. So this is what you will see when you log in, when you look at our incident reporting on the application side. So you go applications, incident reporting, you will have access to the open and closed incident investigations, your recordable and first aid incidents, and then just your other incidents as well. Next, business unit. They have the same access as corporate users on the application side. They will, as well as the corporate users, can view, edit, add, and delete incidents and or investigations. If we go along, region users, again, they as well have the same access on the application side. They will see this for the regions that they have access to. The business unit will see for the business units they have access to, and then obviously corporate users will see that as well. So if we move on, location admin users, again, they will view, edit, add, and delete data for all the locations that they have access to. So location admin and up, they all see the same thing on the application side. It just depends on what locations that they have access to. So now location edit users will see, add, and edit all incident types other than the recordable first aid. So if we notice here on the screenshot, they will go to applications, incident reporting, and they will only have the quality and safety incidents. They will not have the access to the recordable first aids, and they as well do not have access to investigations. And lastly, location view users, they do not have any access to incident reporting. So if you're wanting to learn or maybe kind of figure out what roles to give users, you will have to keep in mind location view does not have access. The location edit only has the ability for the other incidents, and then location admin and above have access to all on the application side. So now that we kind of covered our role levels, this is for the application side only. So I am logged in as a location admin user, and I'm going to cover adding a new incident. So we will go to applications, incident reporting. The first one that I'm going to go to is the other incidents. So I'm going to go to our safety incidents. A little note here real quick. If you notice, maybe some of your, at your location or at your company, maybe this is called other incidents, there is an option where you can add as many different sections sections to group your incidents. So that is, corporate users can do that. So you can contact your corporate user at your location to add different groups for your incidents. So the first thing you want to do when you come into your other incidents, you want to choose your location. For me, it's already chosen. I only have access to one location. I have all departments selected. If I scroll down here, my incident type, my pick incident type is for show all. So I'm going to view all incident types with it selected as show all. You'll notice that there's no way I can add a new incident. I will have to pick an incident type to do so. Our start and end date up here, this works just like all our other grids where you choose your start and end date up top and you hit search, and that's going to be your date frame that your grid below is going to show. So I am going to go to our near miss. So now that I have near miss selected, I can add a new incident. Instead of doing that, I'm going to go ahead and view our incident that's already added. It's the same process. So if we select add new incident, we will come in here. Your location's already selected. You do have the access to choose your department. If there is a client involved, you can go ahead and choose your client. For this case, there was no client involved. For your incident form, your basic information are these 6 fields. Again, corporate users do have the access where they can rename these sections. They can hide the bottom 2 sections. Again, that's at the user's discretion. So we will add our activity before the incident. So what we were doing, what the user was doing, was picking up tubes at a pile. What happened? Austin slipped on a tube while trying to bring it back over the fence. He caught himself and was okay. So this was a near miss. He had a slip, but he ended up catching himself. He didn't hurt himself while bringing this tube over the fence. The object that was involved was an aeration tube, and the location that it occurred was a pile south of town. So if we scroll down, users can also add any supporting files. So if this was a case, you could possibly add maybe the pile of tubes, any type of pictures or forms that go along with this. You'll notice at the bottom here, we do have an extra form, and this is corporate users can contact account managers. You guys can ask us to go ahead and add any information down below. You can kind of see here we can add dates, some different types of drop downs, text boxes. This is an easy way to gather more information for your other incidents. You can also do this for recordable first aids. It's just another way to gather and kind of drill down with some more information on that you're gathering. So for this one, it asks for the date the supervisor was notified of this near miss. It was the same day, if you notice, of the incident. The employee that was involved was Austin Stevens, and this is just a employee drop down that we can add for you. And then the last question is years with the company. So for this corporation, they just want this extra information with their near miss. So when you're finished, you can save your incidents at the bottom. If you're just wanting to save, maybe we have maintenance going on, you can save and stay, so we're saving our work readily. And then there's also, if you have a couple of near misses to report or a couple incidents to report, you can do the save and add new incident. There's also a back button, a delete button, maybe if this needs to be brought up to a different incident. Maybe you entered it in the wrong location, you can always delete incidents. And then there's also an option to resend alerts. So that kind of brings me to a good point with the alerts. I'm going to pop back to our PowerPoint. So we do have alerts, and corporate users can set these alerts up for every user. So this is a view from a corporate user. So we have 4 different ways that we can get an alert in our system: is on incident entry, when an investigation exceeds risk threshold, on investigation marked finished, and on investigation marked closed. So I'm only going to cover the on incident entry right now. So here's an alert that a user would get. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you guys can kind of see that, for when an incident is entered. So as long as your email's in the system, you are the one to get those alerts. You will get this on your home page as well as in your email. So it gives us the date, location. This one was for a recordable first aid. So it gives us kind of an overview, a quick, easy overview of what was entered, and that goes straight to your email. So a great way for users to kind of see what's being entered, where at. Great for location managers as well to kind of see what's going on at their location. So I'm going to go back to our website here. So I will go back. So that's kind of the basic, entering in your other incident. Next, I'm going to go to our recordable first aids, and we will cover entering a recordable first aid incident. So if we go to applications, incident reporting, recordable first aid. For this one as well, you will come in, you will choose your location. Maybe if you work in certain departments, you can choose your departments. For your filter type, you can view only recordables or non-recordables. The year, this one I'll kind of talk about in a little bit. This kind of has to go along with our OSHA forms. So I'm going to skip that for a second. Again, your start and end date, that's for the grid below of what you want to see, your incidents. So if we scroll down, again, I'm going to skip over so we have some information in there, but to add your new incident, you'll just select the button. I'm going to scroll down here and edit this incident to go over. So on the Add New Incident page, your location is going to be in the system. Again, you can enter your department, any clients if it was, if the department or client was injured. The who entered will be saved, so that cannot be changed after it's been saved. The injured employee is just a drop down. There is a button for if an employee that's been injured is not in the system. If you have that access, which everyone will here, for entering your recordable first aid, since it's only location admin and above, they can add new employees to the system. So if there isn't an employee in the system that got hurt, you can add them. You can also find employees not at this location using this button. So maybe if someone was transferred to your location and they got injured the day they were working there, you can use this button to go ahead and choose their name. There is a physician or healthcare information. So if an employee was treated off-site, you can choose yes, and you can enter that information of where they were sent to. So for this one, the only hospital around is the Hiawatha Clinic for our location. If there is either another hospital or a doctor that is not listed, you can add or enter new physicians. So to do that, you would click and go to our page, go to our physicians page here. You'll notice up top you can add a new physician, or you can make edits to the current one. So once you're finished, you would save, and you can go back to your recordable first aid page where you were entering that physician. You'll notice that a green refresh button pops up, so you are able to refresh this list and add any new physicians that have been added. Next is just kind of going through and filling out your recordable first aid incident. If an employee was treated in an emergency room, yes. Were they kept as an inpatient overnight? No. And then your dates for injury, when it was reported, when it became recordable, and then if it applies when the employee returned to unrestricted duty. Next, you can enter when the time of work began, when the time of injury is known. You kind of notice this information from our other incident, activity before, what happened, this one, the object that caused the injury, and then the location that injury occurred. So for this case, the employee was walking down the back stairs of the warehouse. The employee was returning from work from the restroom break when she tripped down and fell down the stairs and dislocated her right knee. The object was the stairs from slipping and falling, and then it occurred at the back of the warehouse. So our most serious condition that we chose was the injury caused the employee to miss work. The days away, you can enter the days away from the work, whether they were transferred to a different duty, and then you can also choose the continuous injuries. So you can choose your month, the year, and how many days out of that month were either lost or restricted. So you can save that and it will save on the page. So here you're able to choose injury, respiratory disorder, hearing loss, skin disorder, poisoning, or other illness from your injury. So this one was just an injury. This next section is your injury information. So you are able to choose your nature of the injury, which all this information comes straight from the OSHA website. So it was a dislocation of the knee, and then you can choose whether it was the left or right side of the body. Any comments, you can enter those. You can choose if a work comp claim was filed, what that claim cost would be. So for this one, the cause of injury was a fall or slip, and the cause of it was stairs. Here we have a picture of the stairs where the injury happened. So again, any pictures, any extra information, maybe at locations or at companies, you guys kind of have a little extra information that you fill out on your own that maybe is not on our website. You can upload that so it stays along. Any work comp information, if you would like to enter that, can be uploaded and just stays with this incident. And then finally at the bottom, if this incident was recordable, yes or no. You'll notice at the bottom we have a save and stay. You can also, if there's more than one injury, save and add new incident. And then we have our back button, delete, and then resend alert. So if maybe someone missed an alert, you can always resend that out after maybe information has been updated. That is definitely a good button to use. So we are going to go back. So now we're going to go over our investigation for our incident. So you'll notice on the left-hand side here, you'll notice there's the edit button to your incidents as well as an investigate button. So you'll notice investigations that have not been started say start investigation, and then you'll be able to see whether it's been open, finished, or if an investigation's closed. So we will stay with our investigation here with our incident. So this one has been closed out. You'll notice location users cannot reopen incidents. You would have to contact a corporate user at your location or within your company. So at the top of the page here, this gives us a little overview of our information that we had previously entered with our recordable incident. Here for our investigation team, Chris and Lydia are heading the investigation team. If anyone else needs to be chosen, you would just choose their name. Any employees that are not at the location can be entered to add an employee. For the investigation team, you can enter any instructions, maybe their responsibilities, anything extra you would like them to look at. Supporting files, this came over again from our incident. If there was anything else, any extra forms for the investigation, you can upload those as well. So our root cause that had been entered for this investigation, for this incident, was inadequate training or instruction. The comment was that we need to retrain the employee on maintaining 3 points of contact while using the stairs. So while doing our investigation, we found out that the employee was not paying attention. She did not have her hands on the railing, and she slipped. If she would have had her hand on the railing, she possibly would have been able to catch herself without dislocating her knee. So again, for the explain root causes, we just entered that in, that we need to retrain our employee. We do have an option for risk assessment. So we can assess the risk of this incident happening. So our probability was unlikely, could happen, it could not. And then our severity for it, a dislocation, was moderate. If it would have been just a scratch, something like that, walked away fine, it would have been minor. You'll also notice that we do have a post-investigation. So after this investigation has been saved and finished, you will get this post-investigation risk score to come up. So this would be after your investigation is done, what's the risk score of this happening again? So this was remote. After the training, the employee knows to use those 3 points of contact, use that hand railing. And again, the severity of it would still be moderate. That's not going to change with it being a dislocation. Any corrective actions? So Chris was assigned a target date of January 15th to retrain the employee on maintaining those 3 points of contact. There are settings, and I will talk about that here in a second, that you can choose to have corrective actions finished before an investigation is closed. So if that would have been the case, we could have waited. We would have had to wait for this corrective action to have been finished before our investigation can be closed, but this was finished in 1 day. So those employees that have been assigned the corrective actions, they'll get those alerts, and we'll kind of talk about corrective actions in a bit. Review comments, these can be entered. We entered for the comment that there would be no cost for our investigation, just training. If there was an incident cost, we could enter that information into this section. For our cost types, those are entered by the corporate users. So any cost types, maybe for missing a section, you're doing an investigation, need another cost type, you can contact your corporate user and ask them to enter that information so it'll show up on our drop down. So we will notice here that our investigation was finished on the 19th. We do have options to have signatures. So maybe for all your recordable first aids, you can have signatures. This can be, each user obviously has one attempt at a signature. So multiple people that are either closing, maybe if you want the employee or your manager, supervisor, corporate users to sign off on these, you can do that. Each one will just need to go into the incident investigation, and there will be a section to enter their signature. So I kind of mentioned that there are different settings. Each incident has their own incident investigation settings. So maybe if you don't need incident cost, review comments, certain things like that, those can be hidden or required. It just kind of depends on what the setting is. So again, you can contact your corporate users for any of that information. So I kind of mentioned earlier that when an investigation is finished or closed, they will get an alert, as well as if they exceed the risk threshold. So your company will set their own risk scores. Actually, sorry guys, I'm going to pop back to our investigation really quick. Don't mean to move back and forth. So I'm going to scroll down here to our risk assessment. So if you notice that your risk assessments, they do compile a score. So for unlikely and moderate, we do score as a 4. In your company, on the corporate users, again, can set up your risk assessment scores. So if our score was a 4, this would hit that risk assessment threshold, or if it would be higher, if it's a catastrophic injury, pretty severe injury that would happen quite a bit, you would be able to receive an alert for if it exceeds the risk threshold. So on this one here, it just sends out that a recordable high-risk incident investigation has been saved with a risk value of 6. So that just kind of gives you, hey, there's a pretty serious injury that just happened. People need to be notified and take a look at this. Our next alert is when an investigation has been marked finished. So again, this just lets you know that an investigation's been finished. Maybe only corporate users can close out those investigations. This would be a great notification for them that, hey, this has been finished. Now I need to go in and close out an investigation, or whoever that employee is responsible for closing out incidents. And then finally, I know a lot of upper management likes these alerts for when an investigation's been closed. So for this one was just the incident that we were looking at. Zoom in a little bit. It shows the investigation date that it's been closed. Again, gives us an overview, what corrective actions have been entered. It'll show us our risk scores, and then what date they were finished and closed on. So now I'm going to scroll down. I'm going to go back. The next page that I'd like to take a look at is under Applications, Incident Reporting. And now we're going to look at our open and closed incident investigations since those are fresh on our mind. So once we come here, you're able to choose your location again if you have more than one. You're able to filter whether an investigation has been finished or unfinished, or you can view all, as well as open, closed, or all. A client section, you can choose to view the investigations for certain incidents, or if you'd like to view them all, you can do that as well. And then your start and end date, again, is for the grid below. So if we take a look, we have 5 unfinished investigations, 1 closed, 1 unclosed, and then 3 overdue. So here we can scroll down. If we are looking at this, I'm going to scroll down. This was our incident that we just took a look at. You'll notice that it just says investigation. It lets us know when this was finished, who it was finished by, who entered it, as well as who closed and what day it was closed. You also know that there's a print button, so this is a great view, a great printout of our finished product for that investigation. So if I come in and view this, again, there is an option to get this with your alert, get this sent with your alert. That'd probably be the easiest way. So it gives us that overview of kind of what happened, all the information within our recordable incident. Kind of slowly scroll so everyone can kind of see. Shows our basic causes, what review comments we have, any files have been attached. The picture shows, if you do enter a picture, lets you know your corrective action, and then those signatures of who signed off on that. So you guys can save this to your desktop, you can save it to your computer, send out an email afterwards, and you can also print that as well, because this comes up right as a PDF. So if I scroll up, we do have a couple different settings. If there would be incidents that are related to audits or to your observations, you would find those incident investigations on this page rather than trying to find them under one of your incident groups, because we do have a setting, and we prefer for when you're doing an audit or an observation that you can prevent the manual entry of an incident. So what that means is that users cannot go into applications, incident reporting, for example, safety incidents, and enter an audit incident or an observation incident, like a barrier. Those would just be generated straight from your observation or your audit. So you would be able to find those incident types. You can either search for those, or you could also just use the link that's supplied with your audit and or observation. So real quick, before we get into corrective actions, I want to go back to our recordable first aid incidents. So I skipped over the year at the beginning. This year is, you can use this to go back and look at the past years or the previous years, whatever you choose. They're OSHA 300, 300A reports. So I'm going to keep this just at 2008 for our information that's listed. So when you need to print off a 300 form, you would just choose your location that you want to print that off at, choose your year, and then your form will list. So if I select the print button here, this is going to give me, for my location, our OSHA 300 form. So now, again, I can save this to my computer, and I can have that readily available at my desktop, or I can just wait and print it off when needed. But this gives you just your overview, employee's name, their job title, when their injury happened, where it occurred, and then it just kind of gives you the overview. It'll show you whether days away from work, whether they remained at work and their job was transferred, or it was an other recordable, maybe just a regular first aid injury. So it also shows what days, how many days they were away from work or that they were restricted, and then it also gives you your type of injury or illness. The users that can print these are location admin and above users. So anyone that has that access to incident reporting, recordable first aids, they will be the ones that can print these off. Next, your 300As, if we print those, zoom in just a little bit, you'll get your 300A for this location. Some of this establishment information, you'll notice maybe the street, zip code, your industrial, that information comes from the location admin page. And then there's also injury description, or industry, excuse me, description, and your SIC code. Corporate users, they are able to enter those. It is on the corporate side under Program C. So along with the incident reporting section, so they can enter that information, and it would populate on this form. So if you need any help, maybe populating some information, just contact your corporate or your account manager, and we will be able to help you out. So lastly, for our OSHA forms is the 301 forms, and these are with each individual incident. So if we look at the one that I kind of overviewed, I'll hit the print button there. So this gives us the full name of the employee, your street, city, state, zip code. That's all under the emergency contact information that can be entered with your user profile. Again, your facility and street, that information is with your location admin section. So this gives us just a log of the injury. So again, this all runs along with your OSHA. You can save these, you can download them, save them to your desktop, or you can also print these out. So that covers our OSHA forms. Next, we will go ahead and we will take a look at our corrective actions page. So There are a couple of ways that you guys are able to view your corrective actions. Anyone that's assigned a corrective action gets it on their home page. If you have your email attached to your profile, you will also get an email. So you can go directly into that corrective action that you have been assigned rather than trying to go to applications and corrective actions and try to search for it. You're able to go straight there right from your home page or your email to take a look at that corrective action. But I am under Applications, Corrective Action. Let me get that. So we will search for our location. Obviously I only have one, so it's going to stay as that location. We can view open, closed, or all corrective actions. We can search for certain users with corrective actions. So maybe if you're wanting to look at Ashley's, if you're a supervisor, we can look at all of Ashley's corrective actions and see what she has going on, how well she has completed those. You can view by your incident types, and then your start and end date range. This is our target date, so this will be what the grid is looking for. It's going to search by this target date, not by when they were assigned or when they were finished. It's going to be by your target date. So all corrective actions that have been entered between January 1st, and mine's just set out a little further to March 26th for our target date, those are all going to show. So you would search up top. I have 2 open and 1 closed for this location. So if we're looking here, this gives us our incident ID number. So this is, you can use this to look on your either recordable first aids. This one is a BBS finding. So how I mentioned earlier, for certain observations or audits, you can enter corrective actions along with those in those investigations. Those will show here as well and tell you what the incidents for, who assigned those corrective actions, who they were assigned to. We can take a look at the target date. We can also open a calendar and kind of take a view of what date. Maybe you have a large list of corrective actions. We want to look for a certain target date. We can do that right from our grid. We can also look to see, maybe we're trying to find how many have been completed in January, and we can just do a, for your finish date search, you can search from January 1st to January 31st. So if we go in, we'll take a look. This one went along with our incident earlier. So if I select edit, this was my corrective action. The instructions were just to retrain the employee maintaining 3 points of contact while using stairs. It was finished on January 15th. I just entered that the employee was trained. If I wanted to add any files, I could do that as well. And I can save. Maybe if you're a supervisor and you're wanting employees to get this alert again, you can resend alerts. So I'm going to go in to our one of our other corrective actions and take a look at it. So you'll notice here that our finish date, finish notes are both empty. So our target date was by this Friday to order safety glasses for this incident. I can enter our date when I ordered the safety glasses, whether that be tomorrow or, whoops, wrong day, whether it be tomorrow or a finish notes. You'll notice that we cannot future date these. So I cannot say that this was done in a couple weeks in advance to make it look like something wasn't hurried or future dated. So I will go in and enter the correct date for today and enter my finished notes, any files. I can enter a purchase order for ordering safety glasses and then save. So you also notice up here we have unassociated corrective actions. So what that is it is not related to an incident type. So it is not related to a recordable incident or a BBS finding or an audit. It's just an unassociated corrective action. So something you would find, whether that would be changing a light bulb. Maybe you notice the light bulb's out. You can assign an unassociated corrective action to someone to enter, or excuse me, not to enter, but to get a light bulb, change it out. Or it could be you notice possibly a pothole in the parking lot. You just wanted to go ahead and put that we need a pothole filled. So you can do that. This is what the unassociated corrective action is for. You can contact your account manager and we would be able to get that added for you. So that kind of covers our corrective actions. The next thing I'm going to view now is our reports. So if I go to Report Library, so now a couple of reports I want to talk about. I'm going to view 3 of them. The first one is under Location, Incident Reporting, and then I want to look at the Detail List and Detail List Extended. So here I'm going to choose my location. I want to choose my start and end date. So I just want to go from the first of the year till today. I can choose my incident groups as well as my incident type. So maybe if I only want to focus on a certain incident or a certain group, I can view those. I can also view the department as well. So the first one I want to look at is the detail list. So I will view report. So now on this report, it's just going to give me an overview of the details of each incident that's been entered within my time frame, within the incident types that I've chosen. So it'll show me our location, the incident ID number, our department, date, incident type, and then it gives us the activity before, what happened, location. It also gives us some investigation information of if there was a cost, as well as the date the investigation was closed, who entered it, and in the incident details and your pre and post risk assessment scores. So now you notice that the name is Detail List and Detail List Extended. You can also choose the Extended Report, and that's going to give us a little extra information, a little more detail, rather than just our detail list. So we can kind of open this up. We'll look here, we still have our date finished and closed. But if we notice our parts cost, employee labor costs, and then contractor costs, those are all for the total cost for our incident investigation. So those fields we can kind of view and see whether those have any total costs with those. It just gives us that little extra information. You'll notice that the format works perfectly if we would export this to Excel. So speaking of exporting, to do that for any of our reports, you'll notice that there is a purple floppy disk or a purple save button. You'll notice if we hover over that, it shows as export. So if I open that up, there are a bunch of different options. If I want this as a PDF, for this example, I'll go to an Excel. So I will open this up really quick. So now we can view this in an exported form. You can save this, you can search, and it's easily compatible with the Excel application. Another report I want to look at is our recordable first aid incidents and then incident analysis. So this is a great report to get an analysis over your recordable first aid incidents. It gives us both our causes of injury. It kind of gives us some pie charts of our root causes, the nature of injuries, body parts. So you're really able to dive into this information and really figure out, for this one here, we'll notice that 2 knees have been hurt. If you're a bigger company, this would be great to kind of see what body parts have been getting injured, the nature of those injuries. Maybe there's a certain root cause that you really want to dive into and take a look at that, hey, we need more training or we need to be observing more of these. You can definitely get that information from this report. If I scroll down, there is a second page to this report that kind of goes on. It gives us our claim number, your date of injury. It'll show you time if it's available, and then it just kind of gives you what happened of your injury. So again, it's a great analysis. On our parameters here, you can choose a start and end date, and then you can choose to pick any date in the month to kind of compare it to. You can choose your recordable first aids or recordable, non-recordable, your department, client. This trim label characters, usually it's set at 50, and sometimes it may cut words off down here. This is what our characters kind of views at. So if you would like to, if there's a word you're not able to view, make sure you put that at around anywhere between 10 and 15. That'll really show all these words out. So maybe if it's a really long word, it's getting cut off. That's a great way to view those. The last report I would like to view is again under Recordable First Aid, and it is your total incident rate report. And this report, it will only work if you do enter your hours, and that is under the hours work side under administration. So to enter your hours for the locations that you have access to, that is under administration and hours worked. So if I view this report, it's pretty simple setting it up. You just choose your locations you want to look at and your start and end date. So it'll give us our location ID, any first aids it will show, your regular incidents. It'll kind of break it out to your days away. DART is days away restricted time. The LTIR is your lost time incident rates or incidents. And then it'll show our hours worked for your time frame of the year. And then they'll give us our total incident rate, our days away restricted time, and then your lost time as well. So those are some of our reports. Real quick, before we get into the questions, I'll show you how to add your subscriptions. So up top, you'll notice that there is a section to add subscriptions. So if I wanted this report, maybe bi-monthly, or not bi-monthly, bi-weekly, if I want it monthly, I can choose to set this up for a monthly report. I can choose the format that it comes in. So if I wanted an Excel, and then I can create this as and give it a name of Hiawatha, our location, TIR report. I can hit add subscription. This will save this to my profile as long as my email's in the system, I will get that email. You can also subscribe others. So if I open up this subscribe others, I can choose employees to give that to send this report to, and to save it to their profile. Even though Lydia has no email address in the system, this report would be saved to her profile, and then I can just hit add subscription for others. So real quick, before we get into questions, if I go back to report library, you'll notice any saved report will show on your home page here. You can view, delete, and then we also get a status of who it was sent to, and then the last run time. So now we can get into questions. All right. So the question is, can the pie chart show investigations not started? And the answer for that is, currently those investigations are calculated into the total number of investigations that aren't finished. All right. Do you guys have any other questions? Anything like that you have? And you can type that in. Sorry, you can type that into our question pane if you do have any other questions. Can you get a copy of this webinar to watch later? That is a yes. This will be sent out as well as any other notes or anything like that we have to give you guys. This PowerPoint, you guys will receive that as well with that webinar. That will be tomorrow, probably around 1 o'clock, I believe. It was about 24 hours. So it looks like, I don't believe we have any other questions. If you do have a question that comes up afterwards, you can reach out to your account manager or your supervisor and ask them, and they can reach out to us. So any questions that you guys had from today, you can definitely reach out to us. So I just wanted to thank you guys for taking time out of your day to watch this, and have a great rest of your day. Thank you.